Well, thank the gentleman for yielding. And, Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong support of this rule and the underlying legislation. I'm chairman of the Appropriations Subcommittee on Financial Services, and my subcommittee is charged with overseeing the budget of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, that is the agency of the federal government that is charged with protecting investors and making sure that the capital markets are fair and orderly. Now, that's what they do every day. In fact, Dodd-Frank gives them more authority in this area than any other agency in the federal government. So I find it a little bit surprising that the Department of Labor, whose day-to-day job is not to oversee investment advisors, whose day-to-day job is not to oversee broker-dealers, and yet they would decide that they're going to write a rule dealing with fiduciary standards for those that are involved in retirement accounts. Well, it just seems to me that that's backwards, that's upside down. The SEC ought to be acting in this area. That is their primary role. And if we're going to let other agencies write rules that might be in conflict, might create confusion, might be duplicative, it seems to me we're going to give those individuals who are struggling to make a living, to make ends meet, we're going to have a difficult time understanding what their retirement accounts are all about and who's in charge and what are the rules and the standards. And so the SEC should act first. And that's all this bill does. It says the SEC should act first in dealing with investor security, to making sure that capital markets are fair and orderly, and that the Department of Labor is prohibited from finalizing any rule in this regard. So I think it's a common sense piece of legislation. I thank the sponsors for bringing it and the committee for bringing it up. And so I urge adoption of this rule and adoption of the underlying legislation as well. I yield back.